Your daily dose of Donna. Welcome to the show. Today is Friday, May 24th. We have made it to Friday. You know how I love a Friday. I am obsessed with the day before the weekend, especially a 3-day weekend. As you can hear, I am lacking in my voice because I spent my entire night screaming at my son's baseball game. But I am not lacking in energy. I am not lacking in content, and I am not lacking in absolute love, adoration, and obsession with Jesse Solomon. So sit tight, get comfy, get yourself a drink, get yourself something to, nosh on because we are going to get into everything, especially what would Jesse Solomon do on today's Daily Dose of Donna. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you. What did we do about getting Jesse Solomon's song out of my head? What would Jesse Solomon do? Like instant classic, instant hit, instant iconic bravo moment. This guy is going to take down the world with his incredible, like, I mean, this guy is a star. Jesse Solomon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, on last night's Summer House, which of course we'll get into all day today, on last night's Summer House, Jesse Solomon, the newcomer of this episode of this season, one of the two, who is handsome, tall, a beautiful singer, successful from what we know, Jewish, I love a Jewish boy, and so fun, so sweet, wrote a song to celebrate. Well, basically, he didn't know that he was going to his own surprise party. We'll get into it. But he wrote a song, and I'm like wondering if I play a portion of it, will I get demonetized today? Like, will YouTube pull it? Is what would Jesse Solomon do? Is it a copyrighted song? Is it on Spotify? Let's just try. Let's just try to play a little bit of it because I think we all need to have a little bit of fun today on this Friday. And we need to all hear, what would Jesse Solomon do? Let's get into it.
And Lindsay make it through the night.
You picked a fight with me.
I'll talk to you in the morning.
Will Kyle throw him under the bus?
Do you want to rethink how hard you were hitting on her the first couple of weekends?
Will Amanda get upset and throw a fuss?
You guys.
Agent Craig said he had to go. Gabby looked at his Ryan and called him a hoe.
It's so good.
Called him a beast and was nice to him. Sierra followed his lead and was nice on a whim. Like David Mayo, I was myself. And now
I hate his shirt, but look how cute he is. He's so cute.
At the end of the day, she's just a big Jew. Tell me what would Jesse Solomon do?
Oh, it's so good. And it goes on and on. You guys, I'm telling you, what a pleasure he and Wes bring to that show because other than them, it's a lot of heaviness. And we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about everything that happened on the after show, or I'm sorry, on the Watch What Happens live after the show, which was really, really surprising. I had a feeling there must have been some sort of weird tension because Craig Conover has invested, and we talked about this already on the show, it's not a competitive brand. It's just another brand of wine spritzers, canned wine spritzers called try saying that 10 times. Canned wine spritzers called Spritz. And he's dating Paige, who's obviously besties with Amanda. Like, it is a little crazy. I feel like I have such a weird connection to Spritz just because I listen to The Toast, which is another podcast with the O'Shea sisters, and I listen to that almost daily. So I feel so connected to them, and I've heard about all this stuff from before. So we'll get into that story because I have my own take on it. And I did listen to The Toast this morning for them to describe kind of what happened to them Okay. So okay. We have to talk about Bethany because what's a daily dose of Donna without Bethany? You guys, I'm not joking. Like if someone took a um like a poll or like a spreadsheet and started to say, how many times has Donna mentioned Mauricio, Bethany, Sab and Robin, Craig Conover. I just want to know who I've talked about the most. And I'm going to go out on a Jeff Lewis, Heather McDonald. Like, who do you think I've covered the most in all my time here at Daily Dose of Donna? Who do you think is like the prime topic? I really think Bethany may be it because she's had so many rounds in the boxing ring, right? Like when we started the show, I feel like Bethany was doing her unhinged crazy TikToks, then the cease and desist against Meredith Lynch. And then she started doing Reality Reckoning, and then her like living on a budget, and then her breakup with Paul, and then her divorce podcast, and then her mom's death, and then now the Chanel Reckoning. It's nuts. We've talked about so many, like, there's so many chapters to Bethany. And you know what's great about Bethany? Sorry. You know what's great about Bethany is that, like, she will always give us content. Bethany, until the day she no longer is on this earth, and probably even after, she will always give us content. We will always have something to talk about. And for that, I say, L'chaim, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Bethany, for giving us so much lovely, beautiful content to talk about, whether we love it, hate it, think it's funny, think it's silly, think it's wild, annoys us, it worries us, whatever. It doesn't matter. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Okay, Bethany yesterday went to I don't think it was yesterday. She went to Chanel in Chicago. And I guess people just like I don't know. I don't shop expensive stores ever, ever. I have one nice thing from Chanel. No, I don't even think it's Chanel. I had one night, maybe it was Gucci or Chanel. Like, I don't go to those shops. I just don't. I don't spend that money. I don't have that money to spend on clothing and accessories. She obviously does. Look, I mean, she's done well. But I had one pair of Gucci sunglasses, I remember. And then a director that I worked with on a pilot stepped on them. Mhm. I'll never forget it. Lee, still thinking about you. You said you were going to return them. You said you were gonna buy me another pair, never got them. You know what? I'm gonna do a TikTok. Let me take this guy down. So she goes to Chanel, just like on a shopping day. She said she was carrying a Garrett's bag of popcorn and her base, what she calls her basic bitch bag. And she walks up to the store. Now, if any of you guys understand in the comments what it's like to go to Chanel on a random Tuesday, I don't. Also, if any of you live in Chicago, all I know is this. When I go to Target here in Los Angeles, I have to press a button to get someone to come over to open a locked case to give me Tide or Cetaphil face wash. Like crime is on the rise. Okay? Crime is on the rise. My guess is that a place like Chanel has to be very careful about who and when and what they ever will allow them to come into their stores. I don't personally think that, she looked like scary to them, homeless or whatever, but for whatever reason, they have appointment times. They She went over there and she walked in. And I guess what she says on her TikTok, and of course we haven't seen like proof of this. This is just Bethany being Bethany. So we don't know like how much. I think she tends to exaggerate, is my guess. But she says some man opened the door and he was like, "You rang." She kind of made him sound like a lurch, character. He was not able to, or she was not able to go in. He said appointments only. And she was very offended by it. She was Bethany. And since then, she has decided to go to, her social media, as you do when you're Bethany. I just wanna remind you guys wanna remind you guys that you have to, you know, keep keep it in mind that Bethany just lost her mom, remember? And she cried hysterically on the internet. And then she did a podcast and we talked about it where she was like, you guys aren't my friends. Like, I need to stop sharing everything on social. Like, the world is crazy. We all just go to social media and we tell them everything and it's just like too much. And meanwhile, Bethany is literally having sex with her phone and like sharing it on TikTok. Like, Bethany, you remember that movie where the guy Lars and the Real Girl or whatever, where he has a relationship with a blow up doll, or the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson, where he's like, he falls in love with his AI robot. Like, Bethany's in love with her social media. She's in love with her TikTok audience. She's in love with her phone. Bethany wakes up. She like gives her phone a kiss. She's like, "Hi, my love. Do you want breakfast?" Like she talks to her phone. She cuddles with her phone. She gives her phone foot massages. Like her phone is her plus one in the carpool line to drive, through traffic. She definitely gets it a separate seat at an airplane. Like, Bethany and her phone are besties. So that being said, Bethany took her bestie and she complained to her phone about Chanel. So this is where it started a couple days ago. I'm just going to show you a moment of that day on her Instagram because just to kind of tell the
I'm
story.
in Chicago, and the man at the Chanel store opens the door like this much, like Ratatouille couldn't fit in there, and he's like, "Hello, do you have an appointment?" Like, he's like Lurch in the Addams Family, like, "You rang?" And I'm already on the offensive, and I'm like, "No, I don't have an appointment. I have a credit card. I have a bag of carrots, popcorn, a basic bitch purse. Am I not allowed to come in at 3:54 on a Tuesday?"
Okay. So she keeps going on. And in her comments, or I'm sorry, in her caption, she does say crime is at an all time high and security is critical. I could easily call one of my salespeople and get on this list. That's besides the point. I was straight off a plane in a sweaty t shirt and not dolled up or looking wealthy. There are several ways to convey a message. And this way was rudeness and elitist and exclusionary, which is also a crime. In business, first impressions are lasting. I would never want anyone to feel lesser than, particularly from a luxury brand making billions off of people buying into the hype. Chanel is a beautiful brand with timeless classic pieces. Being kind to customers of all socioeconomic backgrounds is also timeless and classic. You guys, am I wild for believing or thinking that, there have been times that Bethany's been a bitch to a normie walking on the street? You're telling me that Bethany has always just been so kind, so like inclusionary, so wonderful, so amazing to every single, person that she ever meets. This is Chanel. We're not talking about freaking dollar store. Remember, Bethany's the one that went into the dollar store or whatever, her like TJ Maxx, and gave the women that work there her used makeup. Like, it's a little rich coming from Bethany. Then it doesn't stop there because now we have started the reckoning. This video got hype. She likes it. She wants it. She wants more and more and more. And a lot of people are saying in the comments, big mistake, huge, which is, of course, Pretty Woman. So the next day, Bethany decides to stick it to Chanel. And here's what she does.
I'm going in now dressed much differently than I was dressed yesterday. If they let me in because of how I look, Christmas is canceled. Let's do this.
She's in head to toe Chanel, walking like she's going to a freaking fashion show. It's weird. And she walks right up, and the security men wait. They're kind of standing there outside talking to her for a minute. Someone's filming. Remember this, you guys. She's with someone filming her. They let her in. She goes in. She's so happy that she got in without an appointment. Walks right out.
No problem today.
No problem today, she says.
We're very nice outside. I'm going.
Okay. So she gets in. Sorry, just look at that face with a basic salad bee. She walks in. She's so happy to get in. She's so excited that she's showing that she can get in. Well, I think a couple of things have happened here. 24 hours have passed since her first video, and Bethany's video got a lot of attention, right? It was on page 6. Like, people were talking about it. If you don't think Chanel had anything to do or had any inclination that Bethany had come the day before, then I, would really have a hard time to imagine kind of that they wouldn't know she was coming back. But regardless, she gets in, she goes. But then today she releases, and this is actually the video that I thought was the best. I appreciate Bethany, you guys. For anyone thinking right now that I'm a hater of Bethany, I think that I'm just like, so what's the word? Just like entranced. I think I'm Beth's tranced. I'm entranced in Bethany. I'm also reviewing Bethany Ever After for my Patreon right now. And I think that that has a lot to do with it too, because I feel like I'm part of her life 10 years ago and very immersed into like her and Jason. So with the divorce podcast that I've been reviewing, and then of course her mom's death, and that was so sad, and like opening up all these can of worms, I'm interested in Bethany. I'm very interested. Okay. And then the final video, which I think is a great idea because she rips off, of course, Pretty Woman.
Do you remember me? No, I'm sorry. I was in here yesterday. You wouldn't wait on me?
She's
Oh.
dressed up
You work on commission, right?
with her Louis Vuitton
yes.
bags.
Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now. Do you remember me?
There's a couple things that are going on here. Number one, I am so obsessed with Pretty Woman. And I don't know about you guys, but I was born in 1981. So Pretty Woman came out, I think I was like 11 or 12. And my mom and my dad separately took me to the movie theater to see Pretty Woman. Yes, in the 90s and in the 80s, our parents actually took us to movies that were completely not for kids. I absolutely love Pretty Woman. Josh says, I can't look at Pretty Woman the same after the Dorit and PK awkward dinner. I can't either, actually, now that I think about it. Big mistake. Huge. It was such a good movie. It was such a great moment in time. And that scene when she goes there and she looks so gorgeous with her brown curly hair and she's, got all her bags and she talks to her and then she walks off after she says big mistake, huge. And then you just hear the music and she's walking down the street in Beverly Hills. And of course, Richard Gere looks handsome as all. And oh my gosh, it must have been love, but it's over now. What a movie. Cinderella. Okay. Best movie ever. Welcome to Hollywood. What's your dream? My dream is to host a daily dose of Donna podcast. Anyway, Bethany continues to Bethany her way through life. And you know what? I love her for it. I love her for it. Call her all the words. We can call her all the words, but she's giving us good content. Yes, that and Dirty Dancing. This is so funny. That and Dirty Dancing. Why were we watching that? I was watching Porky's, you guys. My parents rented, not my dad. I mean, my mom was a single, rented me Porky's. And then we were watching Revenge of the Nerds all the time, which, side note, Revenge of the Nerds is wildly rated R. Like, this is not like a fun little college movie. It's not like She's All That, Oh my God. The most insane like things that I went to go see Basic Instinct in the theaters. 10 years old. I was watching Sharon Stone's legs uncross. Ice pick. I mean, no wonder I'm such a dirty girl. Okay, let's move on and get out of Bethany land and let's go over to the Summer House, Loverboy Spritz land. So first, let's talk about Summer House. Let's cover it well. Let's cover it good. And I'm curious, did all of you guys watch it? This show we are at the end. We're like at the end of the road. Still, I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me. I belong to you. I think that Summer House, the fact that next week is the season finale is actually devastating. It feels like we're coming up on the end of like, I think when you're a parent and you are coming up on the end of like the school year, it gets so hard and so depressing and like stressful and almost sad. Dylan's graduating 5th grade and going into middle school and like there's so much going on there. I don't know if I'm more sad about that or Summer House ending. Like, I feel like this is going to be a tough one for me. It's given me so much enjoyment. Now, what has not given me enjoyment, well, actually, it has given me enjoyment, is seeing Carl and Lindsay's relationship unravel right in front of our very eyes. And this scene that we see at the end of today's episode is that scene that we've been seeing in the trailers where he's like, it's a lot. It's a fucking lot, Lindsay. And you know what? To that, I say, Carl, you're a lot. You're a lot with your tight white pants, white teeth that match your white pants and your need for soft and tender. Someone just get Carl, like, you know what he needs? He needs a Snuggie. Remember a Snuggie? Like those big blanket hoods? Like you put on a hood and you put on a blanket and you just kind of walk around and you're in. Carl needs a Snuggie for a girlfriend. Carl needs a blow up doll. Carl needs like a weighted blanket. Carl should walk around with a weighted blanket and he would be the happiest person ever. Just need someone soft and tender. Um, we'll get into that all. So the episode starts off, and of course, we don't know at this point if Jesse Solomon is going to be okay because the episode ended last week with him on the bridge talking to his mom, waiting for the results from this ultrasound. And it wasn't looking good. He had felt two masses in his testicle, and he was convinced that this was what was happening. But we don't find out yet what I think we all kind of assumed he was going to be okay because we've seen him on Watch What Happens Live. But when he finally, we don't know what's going to happen, but we start the episode with the most uninteresting and actually annoying character, I think, on the show. And that, well, I don't know, Carl's up there, but Danielle. Now, Danielle is the founder and the CEO of a company called Dawn, Donne. I wanted to say it was like short for Donna, like Dawn, like, hey, Dawn. But no, it means to wear something. And this is her version of a digital. Okay, the idea sounds cool, but I don't really fully get it. And I think for rich people, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you have a lot of money and you have some sort of like a capsule wardrobe where you're not constantly buying new things. I don't even know. It's a digital collection of your closet. So I guess you go on an app and you can be like, what should I wear today? And it will pull from your screenshots of your clothes that you have in there, I guess, and just like make an outfit for you. I don't really know. Can't wrap my head around it. But then again, I'm not a fashionista. I want Bethany to try Dawn. I would like to see Bethany on Dawn. And so Bethany, so Danielle is setting up for this party for Dawn. It's like a launch party. It looks like it's a cool space, almost like a gallery situation. There's, drinks being poured, there's lights, there's some clothing, like there's pizza. That was confusing to me. I just saw like 10 boxes of pizza. What up, Vicente? He's late, but he is here. And that is a shout out to you, my love, who left me 4 stars on the podcast, on the Apple podcast review, because you're sick of me talking about Vicente. But Vicente is he's an investor in Daily Dose of Donna. If I don't mention him, then what? Then I just have long grass. Okay. Vicente, Daily Dose of Donna is sponsored by Vicente. So then we have everyone kind of showing up to Danielle's party. Now, I want to talk about Danielle's mom. The way I love this woman. I feel like Danielle's mom gave Danielle a really good look. Like, just gave her such a loving moment. The fact that the mom walked into the room and immediately started crying. How sweet was that? It was so, so cute. We also got to see Danielle's brother. We haven't met her family. We really haven't seen a lot of Danielle, but Danielle's like home life. So she is very excited and everyone starts showing up. So everyone from the house comes except Amanda and Kyle because they happen to be at his dad's 80th birthday party. She's so excited because she gets to talk to Jesse Solomon. And from that moment, we find out that Jesse, he didn't even know, like they didn't even call him. He said, this is the health system in America. They didn't even call him to say, hey, by the way, you're cancer free. He had to call them the next morning. Like, hello, excuse me, do I have cancer? And they're like, nope, just a calcium buildup. And he says, I drink my milk. He's so cute. So West is there, of course, and West and Jesse just love on each other beyond. Their relationship is so cute. Everyone shows up. Sam from last season is there. Paige and Chicken, Craig come, and it was actually really cute because Lindsay and Carl, when Carl and Lindsay walk in and you see Carl's white pants, this was wild. This was like seeing an animal in the wild, like the white pants, seeing it in motion, seeing it walk down the street. Not all men, like men, I'm not into a skinny leg on a man. Well, most men, maybe. maybe just Carl. Skin tight white pants. He's also, dare I say, are Lindsay and Carl, this is not to like, I'm not trying to say anything, but Lindsay has lost an extraordinary amount of weight since episode 1 of this season. If you go back and just like watch, if you go back to like flashbacks, every episode she's skinnier and skinnier. It could be that she's on some sort of crazy workout routine because of the wedding. I lost a lot of weight before my wedding, and I definitely was not on any sort of supplement. But Carl also is getting so skinny in every single episode. I'm wondering, are they both on the, GLP-1 train? I have no idea. So, everyone's there. Paige and Lindsay sit down and they have a conversation. And the best thing is Lindsay's like, oh, good. I'm so happy to sit. And Paige goes, no, really? I love sitting. I don't know what it is about Paige this season because I never felt like this before about her. But the way that I love this girl, like, she is perfection. She's funny. If you listen to Giggly Squad, like, she's so funny. She's obviously so beautiful. She's talented. She's successful. Like, something bad has to happen, not to her, but like something bad has to be going on there. Like, what if she, like, maybe she has really bad BO? Like, I want something to even the playing field out here. Like, she got everything. She's freaking amazing. So so everyone's talking about, how's it going? And they ask Carl, like, how did it go? Now, we know from watching, was it the after show? I can't remember. We know that there was some sort of like soccer game on the night that Carl left the house without Lindsay's luggage. And we found out that night they got in a huge fight. Carl went to the soccer game without Lindsay, and then he ended up sleeping in another room. So he tells the guys that, and they're like, what? That's kind of weird. So, Lindsay's talking to Craig and Paige, and they're kind of talking about the moving to each other's towns. In fact, this is a little concerning. This episode was a little concerning. Paige, for the first time in a long time in this episode, made me worried about what's going to happen there with Paige and Craig. Like, do I think the love is there? 1000%. I think he's obsessed with her, and I think she really loves him. But she made so many mentions in this last episode on her confessionals, and then even in the scenes, just about being a little annoyed with him, about being happy that he left after a week. And then her even saying, like, Craig really, really wants me to like need him. And it's just not me. And that may be just like a Paige thing, but has she always been that way? The only person we've ever really seen her with is that guy, Perry. And she was like really loving on him. And then, she says in the confessional, she's like, I don't see myself. She goes, at one point, we're going to have to get married and have kids. And like, there's a rule that kids have to go to school. And once they go to school, you can't move. So I guess once we have kids, we'll move to, and I thought she was going to say Charleston, but she never did. She was like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Long Island. Like, she just wants him to be wherever she is. And that worries me a little bit. They end up doing the speech, and Danielle, I guess, is nervous. And Carl's like, imagine everyone's butt naked. He drives me nuts. And I guess she has a co-founder, Jim, who we haven't met. But she starts to kind of give a spiel on the app, and it's very cute, and it's actually very sweet. Like, it takes a big leap to do what she did. But the best part about it is how she dedicated it to her mom. And she said, I couldn't do anything without you. And I got like so emotional watching this, because if you have a parent who is an immigrant to the United States, and has done everything to make a better life for you, that's my mom. I really can't help but feel like, how crazy is that, right? That you have a parent that is like given up their entire, what they know, their comfort zone to give you a good life, to move you, and worked hard. And it sounds like she was a single mom, That was such a sweet moment. Mom couldn't handle it. Mom was already emotional when she just walked in the room. She was so, so emotional. What a moment. And for that reason, Danielle moved up a notch for me last night. I thought it was actually really sweet. Okay. So now we're back from the city and we're driving to the Hamptons and we see Kyle and Amanda. And you guys, Kyle's on my shit list. I'm just gonna give you guys the heads up. Bethany is not on my shit list as much as Kyle is today. He was on my shit list watching this before I knew what he said about Craig and them. But after last week's episode, it's very hard to like Kyle. And if you're not like seeing that, I'm wondering why. Kyle, to me, you know what I think about Kyle? Oh, well, I'll talk about it when I talk about the Watch What Happens Live. Because I have a lot of feelings about Kyle Cooke. So they're driving, and all of a sudden they're talking about his dad and how it was so great. And Amanda's a broken record. She's like, yeah, it was great because there was a yard. Yeah, it was great. The dogs were thriving. Yeah, it was great. I could sit outside and drink my Corona on the yard. I could be outside. Like, that is literally all she cares about. All she wants is to just be in a place where she has a yard. Like, Kyle, you're not going to be able to like rid her of this. And Amanda said, I didn't think married life, entrepreneurial life was going to be like building a business and still working on it 5 years later. That we were just going to be able to sell it. I thought that was kind of funny. You also see Craig and I'm sorry, I have to remember all these people's names. Carl and oh my God. It's like you can have a brain fart with all these names. Carl and Lindsay driving, and they're having just a conversation about Loverboy, which is just so depressing. He's like, yeah, I want to talk to him and like kind of figure out everything. And Lindsay's trying really hard to just be like, yeah, you should kind of clarify this, and you should just like check in on this, and you should just get the details on this, and you should, whatever. And he doesn't seem upset by her saying, giving advice. Seems like, okay, got it. It's rainy. It's kind of depressing. They all slowly start getting over to the house, and they're having drinks, and they're kind of catching up, and then they decide to start getting ready for the night because they've planned this secret surprise, cancer-free party for Jesse Solomon. And so everyone starts to get dressed and they all go out to this restaurant. Now, did anyone find this restaurant to be the strangest restaurant they've ever been on in this show? So in this show, in this restaurant, I'm wondering what it's called. Those of you that live like in that area, because I've never been to the Hamptons, so I don't know what it is. But normally when they go to these restaurants, they're packed. Like you can tell, like every table is full. This is a restaurant that not only no one was there, it was weird. No one was in this restaurant, but like at some point they put two tables, one behind the big one side of the table and then another table behind the other side of the table with two women at both of the tables who were looking down the entire time. They did not look like Hamptons girls, like on a vacation, living their best life. They were just like sitting like this. You guys, they were production, 100%. I will promise this to the day I die. These girls were like camera assistants, PAs, craft service. I don't know what they were, grips, whatever. And they sat there in that restaurant and they had their head down just to look like they weren't sitting alone in a restaurant. It was so obvious to me. Like Jesse Solomon is singing, "What would Jesse Solomon do?" And the whole room is like singing, "What would you?" And the two tables, if you look at them, this is like, I hyper focused on them. They're just looking down. Can you imagine a table of Summer House filming right next to you and they're singing an entire song and everyone's screaming and you're not looking at them? Like, please. It was wild. You guys rewatch it. It's so funny. Like, it's so obviously placed people. So Jesse stands up and of course he sings a song and it's so cute. I played a little bit of earlier for anyone that's tuning in late, but it was so cute. And West, my God, his obsession with Jesse knows no bounds. He's filming him the entire time. Amanda actually filmed him, and we see a little bit of her footage on the after show because she said, I wanted to film West filming Jesse because he was like a stage dad. Like West was mouthing along You know how when you watch stage parents on the side of like the theater, they get really into it. So he's mouthing words and he's like crying. So cute. Jesse is such a star. So, and everyone's just so happy and really enjoying him. Okay. I guess they ended up going out somewhere else because all of a sudden it was 1 a.m. and they were walking home. Where are the cameras at the clubs? At the clubs? Why aren't we getting the cameras there? And why aren't we getting cameras in the cars? These are two things that Summer House needs to work on for next season. Don't tell me that good, fun, interesting, or like making out good stuff happens in those cars. We watch Below Deck. On Below Deck, we get a lot of really great footage from those car rides. How are they able to stick GoPros in these cars that they randomly put, like production vehicles in Spain? How are they able to do that and not in the Hamptons? And I also wonder this. Lindsay drove to go out for dinner. 2 cars drove. Lindsay was one of them. Lindsay drinks. Who's driving these cars home? Can't be Carl and Carl. So who's driving? Okay. So anyway, they come home. It's like 1 a.m. Everyone's just freaking hammered and, pounding food. And fine. I guess nothing like really crazy happens except Kyle. Kyle is like, you guys, still to this day, at this time in his life, he's still getting hammered every single time he goes out. And he's laying on the bed with his shoes on, just like passing out after like slamming pizza at 2 in the morning in the kitchen. It's just wild. Like, it's so weird. He like doesn't grow up. We've watched this for season after season after season. Everyone ends up going to bed. And then in the morning, they wake up. Sierra and West are cuddling. Paige and Amanda are hanging out. Sierra comes and joins. They get breakfast. And as they're eating breakfast, they start talking about the party that they're about to throw. West is throwing a big apocalyptic party. I'm just going to tell you guys one thing about me. One thing about me is that I don't like a costume party. If you ever want to throw me a surprise party, make sure it's not a costume party. I do not like a surprise party. I do not like a costume party. I do not like to have to wear extravagant amounts of makeup that doesn't look like me. I'm the Lisa Barlow. Remember how Lisa Barlow was like, I want to look like me. I want to look like me. The girls are so relatable when they're like, I can't believe I washed my face last night. How many times have you guys done that? You could like go out late, drunk, whatever. You come home, you wake up in the middle of the night at some point, you touch your eyelash and you're like, oh shit. I still have mascara on me. I didn't wash my face last night. Anyway, they're all talking and we have a conversation in both the girls' room and the guys' room. It's kind of interesting. The 3 and the 3 about West and Sierra. And what's happening is we're kind of coming to the conclusion that Wes is not ready to grow up and he's not ready to be serious with Sierra. And Sierra wants more, but she's also not really able to communicate that. So it's this weird standstill. And honestly, the truth is that like he's just too immature for her. I still love West. I still do. But it's just not going to work for the two of them. And you kind of feel like it's happening, but we're not seeing it yet. But I'm sure we will see it. They start getting ready for their apocalyptic party. And as they're getting ready for it outside, and Balloon Joe is there, Hot Balloon Joe has showed up. We have a business conversation because wouldn't this make sense for Carl to talk to Kyle exactly in this moment about Loverboy? Now, okay. I'm going to say something, and I hope this doesn't come off sounding insensitive. Well, I feel like I'm Andy Cohen in this moment because when he gave Carl the offer, I was flabbergasted. I was literally like, wait, what? You guys, Carl is 40 years old. He is going to be married, as far as everyone knows in this moment. He rents a very expensive apartment. He has a lot of expenses. He's planning on having kids. Kyle offers him $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. You guys, that's $36,000 a year. Kyle is saying, well, it's not super high because, it's just a consultant fee and it's just this and this and that. Oh, sorry. Also, $2,000 per appearance, which is crazy low for like a summer house star to appear at anything. Like if anyone wanted one of them to appear at their club or at their bar or whatever, like they'd pay a lot more than $2,000. And then 10% of sales on the non-alcoholic product, not Loverboy, on the non-alcoholic product, which is, you guys, it can't be a lot of money. There's so many non-alcoholic products out there that are competing, that are really successful, that have huge marketing. Like, I think a lot of non-alcoholic drinkers would probably buy Loverboy to try it, but I don't think it's one of those things where it's gonna fly off the shelves. And and it's it's a pathetic offer, right? And Carl is sitting there and he's just like, "Cool. Yeah. Cool. Cool." This is what he's going back to after leaving a toxic brand that he felt like he was so unhappy in, hiring a career coach for $20,000, spending a year basically trying to deal with the trauma and process all of the stress and everything that happened from working at this company. He's now going right back to where he started for $36,000 to $50,000 a year. Huh? Unless he's doing appearances once, a week. Oh my God, you guys. It's bad. It's bad. Um, so they're having just like this really like awkward conversation, and I'm embarrassed for Carl. This is his best friend. This is a guy that he's been in business with from the beginning, but now we have an idea from knowing what we know about Watch What Happens Live and knowing what we know about what happened on, the Craig side of the story, the Spritz story, is I think Kyle is not one to give out a lot, is my guess. I don't think Kyle is one to invest in other people in his company. And have we like even discussed how much Amanda is making at Loverboy? I'm so curious if she's making like a good salary, because he says that she is full on salary at Loverboy. Of course, Jesse and West end up having a conversation outside. They're talking about the cancer scare and everything. It's a very sweet conversation. Now we have Carl and Lindsay speaking about the conversation that he had with Kyle. And this is where the shit starts to hit the fan again. He's telling her what happened, and he wants her to be like, yes, that's amazing. I am so happy for you. How fun. Great. And she's like, well, when you're talking about equity, are you talking about like in just non-alc or in all? So did you clarify what the, percentages of this and this and that were? And he's like, whoa, whoa. Why can't you just be happy for me? She's like, I'm literally just getting to know what the offer is. What is there for me to be happy about when you're not even coming to me saying, hey, I'm really excited. I'm taking this offer. She's like, you're coming to me, just communicating with me, and I'm coming back to you, just asking you some questions and da 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 da. Oh my God. It is so wild to me to watch this. Now, is Lindsay like the sweetest, most calming person to talk to when maybe you're stressed out or going through something? Probably not. But everything that Lindsay is doing in this season with Carl in these last few episodes has been like the most measured, the calmest, the sweetest we've seen Lindsay. Like, we have seen Lindsay activated. She is not activated in these scenes. She may get activated later because of the way he's acting towards her and he's like, coming back to her. But she's like, look, she's saying what we're all thinking, which is, you've got to be joking. $36,000. Like, I'm embarrassed for you, honey. Like, that's what she wants to say to him. $36,000 for a man who lives Carl's lifestyle is not enough. It's not enough. Sorry. They all start partying. Carl and Lindsay are again not talking whatsoever. Carl looks like the greatest showman. I mean, what is Carl wearing? Sorry, guys, I just don't like him. But what is he wearing? He's like, he literally is Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman, but like not hot. Sorry. Paige is having moments where she's talking badly about Craig. And then she also said, like, oh my God, I just saw a guy and I was like, wow, he is so hot. And it was Jesse Solomon. And that just like, it's a little weird. The girls are having so much fun taking pictures all over these crazy props. I mean, the amount of money that they spent on these props, I'm sure it wasn't the Summer House people. I'm sure it was production because legit, it looks like a set of a Universal Studios backlot tour. It's crazy. Everyone's got these like apocalyptic outfits. I'm so confused. Everyone just bought these huge big boots. And they're all hanging out, you know, doing whatever. And it's a lot of filler actually at the party. West is inviting Sierra to meet every single person and all of his friends. He's brought a lot of friends. And Gabby says something that I think is really interesting. She goes, if anything, the biggest fight that they'll have is that he's too social. Meaning he's constantly like, I think he's like, Wes is probably not one to like to hang out alone. He's an extrovert on extrovert on extrovert. Lindsay goes inside to get a drink with Sierra and she's just venting about Carl again. And then she finally says, you know, I cannot be soft, nurturing, loving, maternal, and also be the one that's taking care of everything. Raise your hand if you can relate to that. Have you ever had a boyfriend or a husband or anything that you felt like isn't pulling their weight? I have. Not Lance. Although, you know what? At the very beginning of our relationship, it was a struggle because he was just starting out. But the difference was I saw the drive. I saw the passion. I think what's happening for Lindsay is she's not much materialistic. It's not about the money. It's about she just doesn't think he works hard. And the truth is, the guy doesn't work hard. He doesn't. He's not working hard for anything. Lindsay brings up a really good point in the after show. She goes, you know why? You know what I think? I think he ended up with me because I was right there. I was easy. We were already friends. We were already spending all our time together. It was an easy person to just get together with and marry. He didn't have to work hard for me. That's why he's back with Loverboy. He didn't have to work hard for it. There's something going on there with Craig. So she decides, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to talk to him. And Craig, and you know, I keep saying Craig. You know, I mean Carl. And Carl is introducing her like all friendly, all nice, but then they go and sit alone. And this is when this like it starts heating up. And this is when they start to have more of a conversation. How she's like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, I can't be someone who I am not. And he is just pushing that same narrative. It's like, I want you to be soft and tender. And I'm thinking to myself, has he ever met Lindsay Hubbard? Like, Hub House is not soft and tender. That's not her vibe. He's like, I've seen you do that. I've seen you be soft and tender. And she's probably thinking, like, yeah, when you freaking got a paper cut or like burned yourself, not when you were like, I don't know what to do with my life. Ugh. It's so unattractive. There's nothing less attractive as a woman who has dreams, passion, ambition, and works their ass off, makes money. And like you've got this dead weight. It feels like dead weight. She even brings up her, you know, her PR business. She's like, "Listen, I've come up with a business. Like, I know what I'm doing here." And I'm sorry, he hates that she Oh, yes, I'm very aware. You always bring that up, Lindsay. As she should. As she should. Like, she's not, you know, like a fresh out of high school graduate has no idea how the real world works. This girl knows what she's doing. So freaking, you know, listen to her and take some suggestions. The fight kind of gets escalated. He goes, "It's a lot, Lindsay." And the episode ends. Break up already. So glad that they did. Okay. We need to talk about the Watch What Happens Live, Craig and Kyle story. So sure, Watch What Happens Live is on. I only watch when I'm like really interested in who's on there, and everyone said you have to watch because of what Kyle said. So of course I watched. Paul Scheer, listen, I'm sure he's getting shit on enough because of his opinions. He was very team Carl. He was very team everyone opposite popular opinion, which was really interesting to see. But let's talk Kyle. Kyle had an energy about him on the entire episode, which was very unlikable. They filmed it a few days ago. Okay. They didn't film this yesterday. They filmed this episode a few days ago. I feel like they filmed this during the day, early in the day. There was no alcohol drank. Okay. Kyle was drinking iced water. Kyle, I think, from what I'm getting, just like reading vibes, has two personalities. I think Kyle, when drinking, is like the fun party, yeah, rock, woo, like pants down, like here's my ass. And on like in like the real world, I think Kyle's an asshole. I think he's mean. I think he's cold, and I think he's an asshole. We've seen him treat Amanda like shit. And he always likes to say this. He always likes to say, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that in the heat of the moment. So like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably shouldn't. Yeah, okay. But like we've seen you now for 8 years. Probably shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said Amanda's lazy. She's not. I shouldn't have said that she shouldn't go and pursue her career. She should. I shouldn't have called her a fucking bitch. She's not. I shouldn't have said I was lonely in my marriage, but I am. So he did say, I am lonely in my marriage. If my husband at this point, this week, May of 2024, after a summer ago saying he felt lonely and it aired, went on national TV and said, yes, I still, we're still working a lot of things out. Guys, you're not meant to be together. Kyle and Amanda must break up. If they don't, they're looking into a life of misery or eventual divorce. There is absolutely no way they should end up together. I stand really strong by this. I think they love each other. I think they have love for each other. I absolutely do not want them to be together. How embarrassing for Amanda that he's saying on national TV, yeah, I feel lonely in my marriage. Yeah, we have to still figure out a lot of communication. It's giving Jesse and Michelle from the Valley. It's bad. Amanda wasn't there. You're right, Ray. Amanda wasn't there supporting Kyle at Watch What Happens Live. And Kyle wasn't there supporting Amanda at Watch What Happens Live. I am going to go on the record. I've said it already on my stories, but I'm going to go on the record. And I think that Kyle and Amanda end their marriage this summer on the show, or like have the worst summer that we've seen. And we've seen 5 bad summers from them, I think. And last night did not make it any better because now he went after one of Amanda's best friend's boyfriends. And so what the fuck? Kyle is the reason that Amanda has lost friendships over and over. Hannah Berner. Do you guys remember that? Kyle he's a liability, in my opinion. And Amanda is constantly having to, what's it called? Like, what's the word that I'm thinking? She's always having to like excuse his behavior. Sorry, it's just Kyle. It's giving Brittany and Jax. And it's not good. It's not good at all. So last night, one of the questions that was asked to Kyle was, what are your thoughts on Craig, your friend, and also your wife's best friend's boyfriend, investing in a competitive brand, Spritz? And his comments were pretty cold right off the bat. He felt like it was shitty and he felt like he was lied to. And he said that Craig is a known liar. And it was shocking, I think, for Andy and the audience, all of us, right? Because one thing, like you could say that about Austin, you could say that about Shep, you could say that about so many of the guys on this channel, but like I have not known Craig to be shady and a liar. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I feel like at this point we would know that about him. And I just don't feel Like, that's his vibe. And so, you know, in the after show, he was asked about, you should, in the Watch What Happens Live after show, can you clarify? And Kyle basically goes on a rant that he says that it was done really shady. He was asked out to dinner by the founder of the company, Spritz, and was asked out the night and went out to dinner the night before. And the night before the announcement that Craig had, and he felt like it was fishing for information. He said that he felt like Craig lied to him about it. And, the story goes on and on. Well, Claudia and Jackie O'Shea are sisters, and Claudia is also known as Girl with No Job, and she and her sister have a daily podcast called The Toast. Claudia's husband, Ben Sofer, is the main founder of Spritz Society, the drinks. Claudia's husband is also a half of the duo of the Good Guys podcast with Josh Peck. His Instagram is Boy with No Job, right? So Boy with No Job. Okay, so he didn't say, interesting. He didn't say the night before. He said they had dinner days before. Okay. Well, let me just tell you what their kind of comeback on this was. Essentially, Ben Sofer, the creator of Spritz Society, and Claudia, they're in it together. They organically hung out with Craig. Paige has been on their podcast before. Paige is in with them. They all are kind of in a circle together. And so they organically were hanging out with Craig once, and he mentioned that he is a fan of the drinks. He was drinking them. He loved them. And they started talking about the potential of investing. For Ben, it's important that an investor is also, if they also have a huge social media following. So not only are you financially benefiting from talking about the brand, but you're also like a great marketer for the brand. They've had a lot of different people that they've had collaborations with, Shannon Ford, et cetera, et cetera. And then after this conversation, Craig basically said, well, I need to go and talk to Kyle. And I need to have a conversation with Kyle about this. Craig goes out to dinner with Kyle and says, I won't invest in Spritz if you let me invest in Loverboy. Well, according to Claudia, Kyle at Loverboy does not allow outside investors. He has not brought in outside investors. Spritz Society, that's what they do. And so Kyle is very kind of closed circle with his business, like I said earlier, right? And he also doesn't compensate his castmates for talking about Loverboy in every episode for 4 seasons of Summer House. Like, Loverboy is Summer House. Summer House is Loverboy. And all of a sudden, if Loverboy stopped showing up at Summer House, we would all notice. They talk about it in every episode. You see cans everywhere you go. You see boxes where you go. You hear them talking about the flavors. He talks about it so much. They talk about it so much. And these women, especially the women on the show who are talking about Loverboy and holding a Loverboy in every scene, are not getting extra payment. They're doing it because they're helping out a friend. And so Craig basically said, if you let me invest in Loverboy, I will not invest in Spritz. And Kyle said, that I don't do. So Craig went and invested in Spritz. Meanwhile, Kyle asked the owner of Loverboy out to dinner. Kyle went to Ben and asked him out to dinner. And they went out to dinner and they talked and they shot the shit and they got along really well. They didn't even really talk about business that much, but there was no bad blood at all. And Kyle said that the day after Craig was announced as the Loverboy, as the Spritz investor, but in fact, it was weeks later, Claudia pulled up her receipts of when they went out to dinner and whatever. So Claudia was like, listen, I understand Kyle's proud of his brand, but now he's lying. He's lying, saying, that the founder went about it the wrong way and withheld information and tried to get information and lied, which she's like, that's my husband. And no, that's not going to happen. And also, he basically stated that Craig Conover was a liar. the only person that looks bad, in my opinion, from this is Kyle. Kyle looks like shady and shitty. And in my opinion, I think Kyle's on the wrong side of history here. I don't know why. I just get a vibe. I get a bad vibe from Kyle. I feel like he's bitter. I feel like he's angry. And in my opinion, I think Kyle I don't know. I think Kyle's on a bad bender right now of some sort. I don't know. So Kyle's now burning bridges with Craig, which means burning bridges with Paige. He's literally, I'm sure he and Amanda are not doing great. Come on, let's be real. Like, there's obviously some tension there, crazy tension. She called him an asshole on Watch What Happens Live last week, and he said that there's issues in their relationship and he feels alone and there's no communication. Like, what's happening here with Kyle? I don't know. It's not making me want to support Loverboy, I'll tell you that, but it is making me want to support Spritz. So use code Craig20 for 20% off Spritz Society. I should become a affiliate with Spritz. Anyway, you guys, it is pretty stressful, and it's pretty intense, and it's like very breaking the fourth wall of all these influencers who are all friends with each other and have businesses, and it's like, oh, what's next? Anyway, I'm sure Lala's just happy because the heat's off her for a day. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I am doing my Patreon happy hour tonight. So we will talk more about everything that went down this week with this podcast yesterday. And we're going to talk about everything else. So it will be a live Zoom happy hour tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If it's your first time, you will be fine. We have so much fun. Make sure you're there. We're going to talk really openly about a lot of things. The Zoom link will be posted on Patreon. Just make sure you're part of the Overdose tier. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And I will see you on Tuesday because I am celebrating Memorial Day and I am not going to be doing my show. So I will see you guys on Tuesday. Can't wait to talk then. Love you. Bye.